One of the questions I regularly get asked is, how do you go about conducting an annual performance review? Come on guys, it's 2011, start of a new decade. Surely at this stage we should understand some basics about performance reviews. I mean, talking about an annual performance reviews puts us back in the 80s, maybe 90s at the best. You know, an annual performance review, you mean you just once a year appraise your people? It's like a sausage factory. People come in, you spend an hour with them, and they go out, and that's it, done for another year. Performance review is an ongoing process. It's not a once in a year event. So let's just put that out there first. Secondly, let's just think about this whole thing. The question I would like to ask in reply to that question is, who owns the review? You know, if the performance review is you reviewing the person, it's like I'm doing something to you, then it's completely different from this is part of mine, I own it, but you have to be part of it with me. And a good leadership is about getting people to that point, to the point where the individual owns their own performance review. One of the best I ever came across was an organization years ago who had 4 different ways of running a performance review system. All of them were decided by the individual who wanted and was being reviewed. In other words, I own my own review, and I had 4 ways of approaching my review. And I involved my manager, my peers, my subordinates, my superiors, just everybody I could relate with in different ways. So, and it wasn't a once a year thing again, it was an ongoing process. So, question, how do you conduct a good annual performance review? Number 1, it's not annual. Number 2, make sure that the ownership of it is right. Once you got those 2 things correct, then there is loads of books on this subject, there's loads of ideas out there. I'm going to give you a few questions to think about. Questions that will help you think about whether you're doing it right or not. That's what we're going to focus on this month. So here's my questions to you. So question number 1, your role as the leader, are you making sure the individual understands that it's their responsibility to own their performance? The moment they're relinquishing that to you, that puts them in a position where they're not going to be getting the best out of it, but more importantly, they're subjugating themselves to you rather than somebody who can take ownership for their own development and for their own performance. So what are you doing about that? How are you going about working with your employees, providing the necessary training, understanding necessary to be able to make sure that they take the ownership for it? So that's questions around that is my number 1 point. My number 2 point is this. Make sure that the individual understands what's important from you. Your role in the process is to have agreed with them at some stage what the targets are, what the measurables are. So now, my question is, how good are you at putting those criteria in place so that the individual really does understand, okay, this is what I'm being measured about, this is what's important, this is what I need to benchmark myself against, this is what I need to be monitoring my progress against. So do they have fixed targets, sets along the way that they're working towards? So that questions around number 2 there is, have you agreed with them those parameters, those targets, those goals, and how they will measure their progress along the way? Question number 3 then is around that measurement. How are they conducting that measurement and reporting it back to you? Because once again, the measurement should be something that's owned by them. If the performance review is owned by them, then the measurement has to be owned by them. So what you want is them measuring themselves and reporting to you, not you measuring them. So how have you gone about ensuring that they own that measurement as well? One of my favorite questions is, how do you know you're doing a good job? How do you know you're progressing? Okay, that means the person knows that information, and that's helping them perform at a higher level. So I hope those 3 questions have really got you focusing on the process in terms of who owns it and how you can get the best out of it with the individual, rather than you thinking about what is my performance measurement system for this month. It's been great chatting to you again this month. I hope you have a really good month, and we'll catch you again next month. We've got loads of new things coming your way, so watch this space. Bye for now.